Hello, welcome to Film Independent Presents Virtual Edition. I'm Matt Warren, Senior Content Manager, Digital Content Manager here at Film Independent. And before we get started with today's very cool Q&A, I'd love to give a shout out to our loyal supporters of this program. Thank you to our lead sponsor, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and our virtual screening partner, Vision Media. And now, I'm honored to introduce our guests for today. Here to talk about their great new film, Small Engine Repair, we have writer, director, and actor John Pollono and actors Shea Whigham and Jon Bernthal. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. How you doing, man? Jon Bernthal is also a producer of the movie, so let's not lose that.
Oh yes,
and he was no joke as the producer. He pushed that boulder up the hill as much as anybody. I'm not being sarcastic. It's hard with this group. Everything I say sounds like it's bullshit, but I'm
waiting for the shoe to drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I neglected that in the intro, but I have a question about the producing side of things for John a little bit later. So don't worry, we'll definitely get to that.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you guys about this film. I saw it last night, and John P., I want to start with you. This is based on a play you originally wrote. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
We ain't seen each other in a long time. I got steaks, I got booze, I got beer. We are hanging out tonight.
You want a new TV, huh?
I did.
I mean, mine's bigger, but...
Hey, what's up? It's Frank. Yeah, you just keep going on 93 North for a while, and then you'll see my shop. It's the only place with this light on.
Who's coming over, Frank?
Oh, we gotta get out of this! You didn't think about it! No! I wanted tonight to be special.
You know, I was writing plays for a little bit at that point, and a lot of things was like, you know, I wanted to tell stories, and I wasn't dialed into the industry, so I couldn't, you know, make a movie. So I love theater. I was writing that, and that's how I met Jon Bernthal. He was in, I think, the second reading ever of the play, and then, you know, it was a very, very modest late night show. It started at like 10:30, 10:45 at night after all the main stage plays left. It was like a little 50-seat theater. You know, it was super rowdy. It was very loud. People were drinking the whole time, dropping beer bottles. And it was, you know, it was intentionally created to be a very provocative, sort of foul mouth, unfiltered roller coaster ride. And that was sort of and to be quite honest, you know, as we were rehearsing and doing everything, we're like, Jesus, I don't know. People may walk out of this. We don't know if people are going to get it. And they did. And it just connected in a way. And, you know, the play's been done all over the world, but we really get to battle test the material. And, you know, John and I, you know, hit it off, and we're always like, oh, this would be such a great movie, an indie, because it's primarily contained and we know the characters. But mostly we're like, we just caught lightning in a bottle with some of this stuff. And then, you know, we always batted it back and forth over as our careers took off, and John was like, you know, doing so much. And but the themes of the play, which was written in 2011, just became more sort of relevant. So we were like, well, shit, we gotta do this as a movie. And then, you know, it was and then honestly everything clicked into place, and it was like the most wonderful experience until sort of COVID hitting and kind of fucked up our release plan. But prior to that, it was really like meant to be, and we couldn't have been more blessed with, you know, finding Shea and everything kind of happening. John's schedule opened up, Shea's schedule opened up, and then we just like moved. So you know, that's the benefit of an independent movie. You can be pretty agile with that kind of shit.
And Shea, when did you get involved with this? Because it sounds like John was there from its very origins, but when did this come across your radar?
Yeah, they were there. Jon Bernthal, didn't you? I think you approached me. We were already you know, we knew each other, and I think John approached me and gave it to me, and you know, I read it. You know, everything made me nervous, scared me, you know, based on the history of it, and I had to come in and you know, Packy, and so I came in. You know, once I came in, these guys were ready to roll. You know, I had a couple of months preparation, and then we went and lived together for a week in New York City, and just did the thing that you always want to do, have the luxury of doing, it is just sit around and talk and hash it out and get to know each other organically, so you don't force things. And it was one of the most magical experiences I've had making a film.
And I'm imagining all of you three as performers sort of connecting over this period of time. And I'm always curious how a group of actors in a tight ensemble like this work together to find the right energy for a film, so that their performances match and everyone seems like they're in the same movie. I'm wondering if between the three of you, you could talk about that process a little bit of all kind of getting on the same page.
Well, I think it's a lot about, what Shea just sort of said, spending that time together. Look, I think we all knew, pretty well who each other were, before this started, what's important to us. I mean, if John and I have, over 10 years of friendship and working together. Our families are enormously close. I'm enormously close with Shea and his family. We know each other. But if you know what kind of artist Shea is, you know what he's about. He puts the work above everything else. You can see it in everything that he does. And I've known that from him, knowing him in person. I would know that if I just knew him through his performances. I think, I agree. This has been a magical experience for me since the play. It's just it's exactly it's the right way to put it. It's been magical. It's full of heart. It's always felt just beautiful and righteous and a real blessing. And I think sometimes those things, we make it, harder than it needs to be. I think if you surround yourself by people who you believe in and artists that you really, really respect, most of the time, there's not a lot of, ego or anything that gets in the way. It's people that really want to challenge each other and push each other and dig into it as deeply as possible. And that's really what this was and everybody who worked on it, on the film and the play.
Listen, man, I can categorically say this film wouldn't have worked without exceptional actors. And the whole construct of the production it's basically a performance delivery system, basically. And the actors, the story is very sturdy, it's very simple, and the characters are it's about relationships, it's love and it's heart and it's danger. And if you don't have the right actors, it's just not going to work. And I love the kind of actors that I love to watch and work with are actors who are kind of just listening, and they're more about getting an effect out of the other character than they are about, being a soloist and stuff like that. So, I mean, working with John, I knew he had that, and obviously seeing his work and just knowing how he is. And, John's the type of actor, he like emerges from a movie or a show, and he has new friends because he's like, this is who I am. And he's just so generous with that. And so when he, brought up Shea, whose work, I loved Shea's work. I was like, I mean, I didn't immediately see him as Packy because I saw Shea as like a dark, scary, like motherfucker and most of the stuff he did. I mean, I sort of discovered him in Boardwalk Empire and Tigerland.
This is all new information to me. I thought
he didn't want you at all, man. I had to fight.
No, he had to fight because I was like,
Jesus Christ, I'm blown away right now.
So, but you talk to him and you realize that, like, because by the way, I'm very protective of Packy. I mean, in all the different plays and the iterations of every character I've ever written, he is in some ways the most sort of singular literary invention I think I've ever done, in that he is just so unique and you've never seen him in another story, and he is so crucial to have it done right. And I've seen productions of various successes of doing Packy, and it just has to nail it. And Shea brought that, and it was great. So I knew John from 2011, and as the writing of the script and everything, it was like we really collaborated a lot, and it was like writing for him and knowing him, and then it was crucial to know Shea as well, and that we all became friends. Because I mean, I don't think you could fake that. I just don't. I don't think if you had like some prima donna actor come in and wanted to be in their trailer and just come out right before action, it wouldn't have worked. I mean, we all just hung out, sitting around smoking cigarettes and like drinking beer and getting high every night and working on the lines and just living it. So Everyone was there. There was no trailers. We're like, you're off camera, you're freezing your ass off. You're just sitting there.
Shay, why do you say cigarettes like that?
Why do you say
cigarettes?
Cigarettes.
Well, no, because you know I wasn't a smoker until Shea made me a smoker for a year and a half. He's like, bro, he's like, you can't smoke on camera unless you do it right. This is how you do it. Not one or two. He's like, your homework is to smoke that whole pack. Sure. And then like a month into it, I'm like, I'm fucking addicted to cigarettes.
Dude,
copious amounts of red wine and
a lot of red wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you consider that your big contribution to the film, Shea, is getting John to smoke a bunch of cigarettes?
It's just the small things, Matt. It's the little things, man. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like that actually, I mean, we're joking, but that kind of actually goes into a question I had. And, you know, the Johns and Shea, I'm fans of yours, but I actually don't know that much about your backstory or where you're from or anything like that. And just the specifics of the milieu in small engine repair, I think, are so key to making it feel real and like these are real relationships and a real situation that these people are in. What now, John P., I know you're from the area kind of depicted in the film, but are either of the other two of you from the sort of New England area?
No, I'm from Washington D.C. but I've spent time there and look, I think you know we've been with it. I've been with the story for a long time, but I look, I think a big part of that is just really the dialect and the rhythms and it's in the writing. But you know, we had Tim Monick, who's the best dialect coach, you know, out there working. He did us an enormous favor. He came on and really invested a lot in this film and took us through it and got everybody there. And you know, he's one of the true sort of you know really just heroes of this industry. If you look at the things that he's done and the performances that he's helped sort of you know bring to light and support, it's astonishing. And you know, I think he's another guy. He just puts the work first, and I think he loved how much this all meant to us, how hard we were working at it, and he really just gave us his time, which was such a blessing and such a gift.
And is there anything else from a performance standpoint that is maybe a specific in the physicality of getting these characters right? Like I'm thinking of Packy in particular, who always just seems like so slumped under, you know, his different layers of clothing, and you know, just you know, these layers of clothing sort of representing the decades of just this sort of grim treadmill he's been on. You know, Shea, I was wondering if you could speak to sort of the physicality of Packy as a character at all.
Yeah, that was definitely when I started this. I speak about the pressure. You can't. It's hard to understand the pressures of this thing being done 800 times in Los Angeles, and then they brought it to New York, and it almost, you know, it just kept. And there were 4 or 5 Packies, you know, and so the pressure of knowing what they had, and I started with, I knew I had to get down. I wanted to go really down. I wanted to make myself smaller around these 2 larger than life cats, you know, because we've known each other forever, and I'm always interested in a lot of things, but what happens to friendships as they evolve, you know what I mean? And Packy was stunted, and I started there. And then the physicality, I wanted to make myself small, but still tough, but not, you know, Sueno tough, you know what I mean? And Frank is spending time in the can, you know, but so I just, that was important to me to, you know, I think it really helped me a lot.
One thing for sure, we look, man, I think when you work with great actors, especially these guys who are like friends, what was really cool, and I don't know how it usually is for them, but they both were integral in terms of working with the hairstylist, the makeup, the wardrobe, the props, everything. So, and it was really cool. Like I knew John had that level, but it was really cool watching Shea be so meticulous about everything. And then, you know, it's not just like a way to distract him or make him feel at ease, which I've seen some actors do. It's like, then you see the performance and you realize that's all like he just does that little layer at a time. And he lost an incredible amount of weight, and he was eating like fucking like beef jerky and oatmeal like once a day or something. I mean, it was crazy. It was
Shane's commitment here really was insane, and I know I really respect sort of what you were saying there, Shea, a minute ago about, you know, he did come into it with real, I think sometimes whether you want to call it fear or reverence or respect, but the fact that other people had done it, I knew that was really driving him. You know, his level of commitment here and the work is just sort of astonishing. And I think what really takes it to this other level with Shea is that, you know, it's not just about himself and his choices and his costume. He's there with you in the scene, and he's telling you, come on, give me some more. Let's go again. Like, we had the ability to all be with each other in these scenes and to work with each other in this very egoless and supportive way. And it's truly, you know, I think the sort of it's the sublime ultimate of what ensemble acting can actually be. You know, when you just have a group that is all there pushing each other, spurring each other on, and you know, I remember there was a key time in a key scene where, you know, Shea asked for, he told me to do it one more time. He's like, you know, let's do that one more time. And kind of leveled me. And you know, and you know, when you get this close, you know, it's you know, he can just look you in the eye and you know where you need to go. And it's an unbelievably selfless sort of approach and a caring approach, and that's these guys in a nutshell. But you know, I just want to say that Shea's commitment was staggering, but it wasn't only about himself. You know,
I mean, that's kind. It's so nice. There are cliches I find within acting, and one of them is a generous actor. But I hold on to that like a vice grip. I'm always trying to be generous. I would rather be, you know, John and John be better in the scene than myself. And I always go into every project like this. I remember Meryl Streep saying to She Devil, I think of all. I remember her saying to her other actress partner, "I'm going to be better off camera for you. I'm going to do my best acting off camera, and you do your best acting off camera for me." You know what I mean? And these simplistic, you know, things that you hang your hat on, a lot of times you come back to them. You know what I mean? Just talking and listening. You know, these guys had done it so many times. They're amazing. They're great actors. He wrote it with him in mind. And so if I can be there every once in a while and go, what about that? Maybe not, or this. And they would do the same thing. John would come in and we all want to whisper, you know, I don't know, think about this. I don't know. Nope. Yep. So, you know, that's beautiful.
I think it's super cool that you had that sort of collaboration going where you felt empowered to make suggestions. And that kind of goes to a question I had for John P. In making the jump to film, obviously you're adapting a script that is very, you know, dialed in for a different medium. Is there anything in that jump that you found you had to exaggerate for film or tone down for film so that it would kind of have the effect that you were hoping it would have?
You know, the play had more zingers, more humor that was set up, and you know, a little more monologue-y, a little more just theatrical. Even though it was very grounded and it felt real, the movie became evident very quickly that it was more natural, and it was much more dangerous. And the movie's funny, but the humor's thrown away. In theater, there's obviously, you know, there's a technique to it. The audience has to hear it. You can't overlap. You can't do all that stuff. It's about performing the same time every night, and you're creating the illusion of naturalness. But the movie, it was just these characters were real people. And the stakes were way higher because you're there, and everything was just more serious. And a lot of the jokes that were showstoppers in the play are in the movie, but they're thrown away in the way that, like, again, for me, I tried to create a movie and we were all on the same page as that. Is you watch something like Goodfellas. First time you watch Goodfellas, you may be horrified and like, shit. And then you watch it again and you're like, geez, this is a fucking comedy. I didn't know it. And then you see it again and you realize, oh, wow, it's a statement on something. And that's very much what this was. So the humor and all that stuff, it's just thrown away. So it didn't have that. So I gave up really quick that you're not going to be able to recreate those zinger moments, and it's just going to be real and from the heart. And, you know, these guys are ball busting. I mean, again, there was the scene that we shot where like Shea's character, where Packy's on the car and he's mooning Sueno and doing all that stuff. There's like 3 lines that are overlapped and thrown away that in the play you set up because it was like showstopper, and it just happens organically. And it's not that it's not funny, it's just real. So that was something that I gave up, trying to be funny and lean more into the reality of it. Now it's very funny because these guys naturally are, but that was the biggest thing. And yeah, it was just darker and deeper, the movie.
I can totally, because as I was watching the film last night, I could sort of, you know, I sort of imagined what the screenplay might look like, and I imagine, you know, a lot of that dialogue kind of just looking a lot more like jokes written out than it is performed. I mean, I think it's a very funny film in a lot of ways, but I can see how in a different setting that aspect of the film would be a lot more accentuated.
Right. And well, and then in theater, as John B always used to say, is like, especially the third act of the movie is like, it's like a magic trick. It's all one act, the play. And the audience is like, how far are they going to go with this? So it becomes like, again, a magic trick. Let's just see how they go. And that's part of the enjoyment in it. Obviously in a film, you don't have that. So you're sort of, when you're derailed, the audience is like truly derailed because you couldn't do anything. So there's no safety of how far are they going to go, which was kind of cool. So that, yeah, it was, you know, it was definitely scary, but you know, the pre-production of it with the DP, Matt Mitchell, I mean, we figured out meticulously how every shot was going to go. And then, but when we shot there, it was like, we know the story, we know the beats, just let it go, let it sort of live its life and not be precious with any of it. And, you know, there's a degree of improvisation, and then you come back to the script and you do it. And then in the edit, we'd carve it out, but it was like, just to feel real and natural and not, you know, playing at it. Yeah. I mean, look, I can't see any other way. I mean, someone gave me really good advice before. They're like, you're going to figure out what kind of director you are. And I was like, well, this is it, because I love actors and I love acting. And I'm like, you just have to hire the best actors and really trust them and let their instincts go and just kind of give them a roadmap and let it go. I mean, there were so many moments where, you know, the camera's on Shea and John and they're like riffing on the couch and they're just going at it. I mean, we shot so much of that. And you're like, then you get into edit and you're like, they're little gifts, you can't use it all. But like, by the way, it's super fun to act that, you know, to get that, but as opposed to going in there and being like, this is it, hit it, move on, you know? So I just love that collaborative, that they could feel the need to do it. And, but you know, man, I'd have John pull me aside and be like, listen, bro, why don't you, even as an actor, he'd be like, why don't you do that again? Or Shea. So everyone had each other's backs. And it was like, what's wrong with that? It's like, great, you know?
Yeah. And sort of on that, I don't want to run out of time without circling back to John B's role on this film as a producer. And John, I was wondering, as a producer, what at each stage in pre-production, production, and now sort of post/distribution, what do you think has been your most important contribution as a producer during each of those phases?
Man, important. I look, the whole thing has always been about, you know, and I think what's key to producing period is supporting your filmmaker, just supporting John. You know, this was a monumental task that he took on. He wrote this, he directed it, and he starred in it. You know, and before this thing started, I sat him down and I said, hey man, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to take all this on? And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, I'm absolutely sure I want to take all this on. There was no question about it. And I'm so grateful that he had that kind of fortitude and that kind of strength and that kind of courage to do this. So it was really just being there for him in every way. I think a lot of the casting decisions, you know, they really kind of made themselves. I mean, the right people kind of showed up, and it was sort of undeniable. I mean, kind of across the board. And I think all the way through, I mean, look, it's an independent film. We did not have a lot of money. We were running and gunning. There was a lot of stuff that we had to do on the fly, and there's all sorts of roles that, when I'm just an actor, you sort of feel like you're in kind of this protective cushion, and you're responsible sort of for your performance and for the other folks. And there was something that I really enjoyed, when there was a crisis, being able to sort of step forward and say, hey, let me be a part of handling this, whatever it is. And those things just happen in independent film. And I really enjoyed that. I think naturally I'm a pretty protective person, and I'm enormously protective of John.
Yeah, I would just echo that. Like, it was, I think that there's definitely productions where the lead actor is a producer by name, but like, John was a huge asset throughout. I mean, I remember early on, one of the Teamsters backed into this guy's car and he wanted to start a fight as we're trying to shoot a crucial scene before we lost the light. And I was like, I'm trying to do this. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And John went up to me. He's like, I got it. And he walked over to the guy and he's like, what's up, guy? And the guy like saw John and he was like, calm down. But all the producers were like, sir. And John's like, look, man, if you have a problem, let's just go over there. He's like, I'm fine with it. Let's just go over there. I mean, he literally did. You could hear him on the thing. He's like, I'm not worried at all. And the guy was calm. He's like, no, it's okay. And then one of the producers wrote him a check for $500. So not many producers will do that. But then, and then also, man, he has a barometer to the story doing it. And I got to be honest, like, I was kind of blown away how great John was in post-production and the editing. He saved the opening of the film. We shot the opening and it wasn't supposed to snow until 1, and we started shooting at 9, and then it started to snow at 10, and we lost the coverage. And John's daughter plays young Crystal. In the original, in the script, she's supposed to come up and be like, Daddy, you've been gone, and hug, and they go in. And it was supposed to be sort of a lighter beginning. We got one take of that, and then it started to snow. Her shoe fell off. She's cold. She's holding John. She didn't want to go to me. I mean, she knows me, but she's like, fuck this. So, we just shot as much as we could. And I didn't even know the camera was rolling. And there's a moment where Shea puts his hand on he's like, come on. As the director, he's like, it's fine. Like, and then we were in the edit and we had like little magical moments and we were putting it together. And I was like, I don't know. And then we're sitting there and John was like, what if we start, with a phone call and do this from that? And it was like those kind of moments, you were trapped and he figured it out. So he really was great and all that stuff. I can imagine scenarios where an actor like John and Shea are, discouraged on set because it's like they do have these great ideas. But like the way John did it, that was so cool and thoughtful, is he's like, look, let's just talk about it. And if I'm like, yeah, I think about it, but that's not right, let it go, it's fine. But like, take that minute when you work with great collaborators to hear them out. And I'll just say, I had the very, very similar experience with Shea, who, because he was so invested in the material, became so protective of it. He was like the canary down the mine shaft. Packy in particular, in the play and in the first earlier drafts of the script, had some more outlandish sort of non sequitur moments that on the day felt a little Big Bang Theory, which wasn't right. And he was like, look, I'll say this, but it doesn't feel right. And then you're like, you have to listen to him because he is so deep in that character. It's his. And you know what I'm saying? But like, it's not like, hey, my ego. I mean, most actors don't want you to cut their lines. But, when you work with, I think when you open yourself up to those type of collaborations, that's the magic of the movie. If you love the movie, and because of the way it feels and all that, it's 100% attributable to that collaboration, and especially to these guys who have done a lot more of that shit than I have in just sort of opening their hearts and being that collaborative and creating that space. I mean, it wouldn't have happened without them.
And sort of on that, my sort of final just question before we wrap up here is, maybe as I was watching the film, maybe I was thinking of this because I knew about the film's sort of theatrical origins, but could there ever be sort of like a true West version of Small Engine Repair where you all like swap roles, or is it so tied to your interpretation of these characters that you just can't even imagine something like that?
No, I mean, John and I, back when we were running it originally, we had talked about swapping Sueno and Frank and how fun that would be. And we just, it was a crazy idea. We were probably smoking weed and we just ran out of time. But I mean, I for sure could see that happening. I think that's really interesting. to change the dynamic. I mean, look, it'd be awesome if someone took the play and, you know, did that every few weeks. They swapped it up. That'd be cool.
Great. Well, cool. So, John P., tell us where we can find this film right now and how people can find you and your work.
Well, you can get Small Engine Repair like wherever you would buy an on-demand movie. I mean, I always send people to like Amazon Prime and Vudu and those type things. Really, Amazon Prime seems to be the easiest one, but I think it's like on iTunes. It's like on all that stuff, wherever you would find it. You know, that's how most people are watching movies nowadays, and so I think they're just have to dig a little bit.